I didn't come into this world the way everybody else does, I don't think. I used to think that everybody had the similar experience, but like if I asked you what was your first memory in life, what would it be?
I don't think I know.
My first memory was almost like when you're dreaming and you're falling and you hit the bottom and you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first memory, but I didn't wake up here. I was inside my mother's womb. And I was about maybe 6 months inside the womb. And I'm like, okay, don't forget I'm here. Okay, okay. Don't forget, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. You go to sleep. You wake up again. Now something's moving in front of you. And you're like, oh, that's my friend. But I had a different name for it. I didn't know it was my hand. But I knew I had a title for it. Go back to sleep. All of those things. Then ultimately you get ready to come out. I remember all of that.
You remember coming out?
Remember being compressed, and you want to panic, but you're flooded with like some serotonin and dopamine to where you feel relaxed. You go right back to sleep. You remember being born. I remember being circumcised. I remember the whole nine, and the proof of it was when my wife Mira, that you just met, when she was 6 months pregnant with my son Kieran. I wanted to prove to her what I was talking about, so I put a light on her stomach every day at 6 o'clock at night, and I would move that light back and forth, and I put a song on for a week straight. On Saturday, after a week, I didn't put the light there, and I didn't do the music, and he pushed up on her stomach. And then when I put the light there, he started following the light. And for the next 2 months, we did this every night, and he would go all the way around her belly, back and forth, always pushing on it. I didn't understand at the time that maybe I've interfered with the development process, and maybe he's wrapped the cord around his neck. I shouldn't have done all of this, but it came out wonderful and fine. And this little boy, first thing he wanted to do is see light. He loved lights from that early stage, and I can ask him the square root of 2, the square root of 5, the square root of that, the square root of pi, and he will run it off. Run it off, but he's just like, his personality is like Forrest Gump, to where he's just loving and wants everybody to be around him and care. But for me, that's where it started, in there. And then when I was about 5 years old, I had another dream, and the room filled up with like this fluid, a dark fluid, and I could see the ripples of it moving around, and there was a being there, and I remember being walked through that fluid with him, and I was trying to look up at him, and I couldn't turn my head to look at him, and he had his hand straight. I knew his voice, but I did not know who it was, but I felt confident and comfortable. And as we moved along this dark blue fluid path, with like chartreuse covering the, when you look into a pool and you see the ripples, and if you're at the bottom of the pool, you see the ripples overlapping. That's what it looked like. And then when we got to the end of it, he said to me, if you could have anything in the world, what would it be? Now, we were really poor. My dad had just gotten out of prison, for manslaughter. I didn't have much, but I said to him, I want to know how everything works. And at that moment, he used his left hand and he opened up the door. And there was this mansion, big brown doors. And inside of it was these crystalline flowers. Big crystalline flowers, like a giant, like 5 feet across. And every time I tried to see his face, he would reach in and hand me another shape. And I was so fascinated with the shapes because they didn't look like the platonic solids. They didn't look like anything I'd ever seen before. And he would hand me these shapes, and each shape was different and amazing. And I woke up from that dream. But after that moment, anytime something strange would happen in a dream, I had the powers of inception. anytime something, I would be naked at school, I would say, I'm not naked. I must be dreaming. And immediately I would run out of the school or run out of wherever I was, and I would find that mansion again. And I had access to all the knowledge. The proof of it is the 97 patents that I have now. The proof of it is the industries that I've innovated. It's like waking up, having a dream that you have a diamond in your hand, and out of nowhere, you wake up and you're hoping you're holding it, and you try and hold it, and it's gone when you wake up. But the proof is all the stuff that I've been able to do now.
So all these thoughts are from the time you were a baby. These are not things that you've learned. These are things that you had in your mind from the time you were born.
From before that time, because I remembered that I had been someplace else before. Now, what's interesting, that voice that I heard, that's my voice now. So it was like my greater self was leading me through, and periodically would show up again in other dreams. And I went off and became an actor because my mother wanted my little brother to be an actor, and I thought if I became an actor, I would get my mother's affection. It wasn't until my mother was dying, and I'm talking to her, and she told me the reason that she was babying Antonio was because he had asthma, and my father always had questioned whether it was his son or not because he looked so much like her family and didn't look so much like him. And I realized, my God, if I had followed my proper course, I could have saved my mother, because the knowledge that I had, I had the grand unified field equation. I had already put that together, and at 7, 8, I was working with these things, and then I went through all of the hell that I had to go through. Being accused of domestic violence, all of those things, and I thought it was a curse at the time, but it was really removing me from advancing down the wrong path. And during that period of time, I started waking up in my dreams again. And I started going back into that palace. And I remembered all of these things, and I started patenting them as I moved along.
You reincarnate. That is, every time a child is born, of course, it has an energy. And I've been doing hypnotic regressions with people a long time ago, and they say usually that about third month of pregnancy, they sort of go in.
The third month?
Yeah, usually. But there was a Finnish lady who said that before I was born to this life, I was watching as an energy when my future parents were having sex. And that became that I was, that was my body that was started, and I went in and out.
That must have been quite an experience, huh?
You're telling me. And then, when you come to this world, the reverse happens, as what happens in your death. You go towards the light. Your birth canal is also a kind of a dark tunnel, and you pop out, you come to the light.
Death is that the physical body, as we know, dies.
Sure, of course.
And what's left?
It's your energy. I have done research even with myself. When I learned about it in the 70s, I was in America and heard that there's a technology that you can get out of your body. So I concentrated. One night I was in Chief Medical Officer of Lapland at the Arctic Circle in Finland, and one night I just concentrated. I want to get out, and all of a sudden I started getting like radio waves going through my body from toes to my head, and I started sort of shaking. So, and all of a sudden in a second I was out, and I was floating.
It was out of body experience.
Out of body experience. I was floating towards the ceiling. And what surprised me was, because I was at 8 p.m., I was naked, and I was having my knees up, like my head was here and my knees were up. So in this astral body, energy body, my knees were up too. I was sort of like, hey, wait a minute, really? I'm in two. And then I started looking down, because it's not often you have experiences like this. So I saw that my physical body was very, very slow in breathing, and I worked as a chief anesthetist once a long time ago, so I can count 60 seconds without a clock anytime. So I started counting. And I thought, hey, it's only 10 times a minute, and 20 times a minute is normal. So vital signs are going. So I got a little bit worried, and I descended from the ceiling and took the pulse of my physical body with my astral body's hand.
And you
And
could
it was
feel
32.
it?
Yeah, I could feel it like I feel it here. And it was 32 a minute. When you're relaxing, it should be 60. And then I really got worried. I thought, oh, I'm going to die. I mean, what's going to happen? And then I said, like men say at war, they cry for their mother. My mother was 800 kilometers away in Helsinki. And I said, Mother, help me. And all of a sudden, in a second, I was in Helsinki at her living room. And she was sewing a long dress with flowers.
So were you next to her or up, looking from
I was
above?
I was not in the astral form of myself. No. I was just like a point of consciousness above. And my niece was there, 5-year-old, was babysitted. I saw the drawing. She was drawing a house and a tree and flowers and whatever. And I heard them chatting, but I couldn't hear the words. I didn't know what, but I knew it was not important. And then I thought, where's my sister? Hey, my niece is being babysitted. And in a second, when I thought, where's my sister? Surroundings changed, and I was at a cocktail party in Helsinki somewhere. And then I looked around and I saw a lot of people I knew, and there was my sister flirting with a family friend. And I thought, where's her husband? No place. I want to go home. And immediately, 800 kilometers back to Rovaniemi.
So it's like
then,
switching from one thing to the other.
Exactly, like
will.
this. At will. And then I was floating like this, in Rovaniemi again, and there I saw my body. And I thought, hey, wait a minute, what, I want to go back. I mean, how do I do it? And then I thought, oh, all the thoughts were in the astral body. Nothing was in the physical, nothing. It was just like a dead corpse. And I thought, oh, how do I get back? I mean, otherwise I'm going to die, or what happens? And if I throw up, I have to see that because I got seasick, floating. I thought,
no, I cannot. Even though you were in your astral body?
Yeah, I got seasick in the astral body. And I thought, hey, if I throw up, so I'm suffocating the body. So I said, oh, please help me. And just, I was back.
In your own body?
In my own physical body. And I was one, touching myself like, ooh, this was eerie. And then I just fell asleep. And next morning I called my father, who took the phone in Helsinki. I said, what was my mother doing at 8 o'clock p.m.? Oh, I can't tell you. I can tell you. I said, it's a long dress sewn by hand. Yeah, and my father said, it's a Christmas gift for you. That's why I couldn't tell you. And my niece was there. So Daddy said, how do you know? And I told him that I had astral travel for the first time in my life. And he said, don't ever tell anybody. And of course, I went to the Finnish press.
You went directly to the press.
Directly, I told them.
The phenomenon
is all about the womb. These babies that's born on demon time, it starts in the womb. They mama and daddy is on demon time. Then when they incubating, they hearing all kind of music and that baby is in water. And we gotta think cymatics. Water can be programmed. All of the vibes that's around that pregnant woman is programming that baby into what he gonna be. Cause the baby is in a liquid form when it's developing. In them first months of pregnancy, the baby ain't even solid yet. It's liquid. If you're playing killing music and rap music, guess what, nigga? Cymatics, you putting that into the soul of that human. It's on a cymatic level. Even when it's still in a liquid form, you're vibrating the fetal waters with gangster music, with demon time, and they're gonna come out and it's only going to create more evil and evil versions. So from gangster music to trap music to drill music to some rage music, and it's gonna get worse and worse because it's all about Tesla said thinking vibrations. Think about the universe in terms of sound. We're in a liquid form when we forming in the womb. And this is how they recruit demon time motherfuckers, that when you look at these children today, They doing everything for the devil and nothing for their people. They on demon time. They serve the will of your enemy, all these little badass niggas. And the mamas and daddies is like, I really didn't raise them like that. The music around your pregnant belly program that in them. Why our children come out with six tattoos, piercings all over their face, painting their nails black, gothic. You know, I always say, right, pull up, and I always got to pick on this young rapper right here. I got to pick on him. But I ain't going to pick on him long. This is what we create. You're 21 Savages. This is what our seeds become. And you look at these people, mama and daddy, and you be like, damn, but his mama and daddy ain't on that kind of energy. We're damaging these children when they in the womb, y'all. That's why I'm telling you, respect the woman. Respect the fucking woman. She's your first earth. Let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all why I'm doing this for the women. You're not born onto the earth. You're born inside of a mama. And then you're born out of your mama onto the earth mama. So now if you look at your mama like your first planet that you landing on, why wouldn't you want to keep that planet clean like you keeping this planet clean? Y'all will go outside and say, man, we need to clean up the air, clean up the water, but you don't think we need to clean up the womb. You don't think we need that if babies are born out of a woman, the number one thing in our science is to make sure that the uterus is as healthy as it can be all over the world. Then you're going to get the best spiritual beings out of there. The reason we got to keep being born over and over and over is because of a curse that's happening at the womb, dog. That's what I'm telling you. You already born with a lot of shit in you that you going to have to try to shake and overcome. Because the war started on a cymatic level, dude. If your mama and daddy kept arguing a lot when you was in that womb, if your daddy and your mama was bumping a bunch of gangster ass music when you was in that womb, they didn't give a fuck about you. Because they don't know cymatics. They don't know that that baby is in water and that whatever vibration is around that pregnant woman is going to program that damn water. And that's basically creating heaven or hell inside of that baby's earth. That baby is in its own little simulation in that fetal bag. And it's in a earth simulation, dreaming of a reality. And when a person say, I wonder why my life ain't doing this or shit just happening bad, the baby thinking the same thing when it's sleeping in peace in the womb. It's saying, damn, I wonder why I can't be at peace. I can't be at rest. It can't control the outside forces that the sun and moon, the mama and daddy doing. They got to be mindful that you got a caterpillar trying to become a butterfly inside of you. And if you don't send the right vibrations into that cocoon, it'll just come out a devil. Our children are supposed to be leading us to the heavens. These children come here innocent with bright minds, but there's something deeply embedded in their DNA. And that right there is a result of everything you was doing when they was in that fetal bag. And when you say, I didn't raise them like that, maybe you didn't, but what was you doing when you was pregnant? You start raising that baby the moment you conceive. In fact, this is more important what you're doing in that level, because like I said, it's a very vulnerable time where that baby is at your mercy with this cymatic war. It's literally immersed in the mama's waters. When you go to the hood, They got the gangster shit loud as fuck and the pregnant women twerking, nigga. They twerking with a swole belly. And probably smoking and drinking. Y'all know I'm not lying. So this spiritual war is start in the womb of the woman. That's the earth, the battleground of Armageddon. The earths, the women, Mother Earth. That's the battleground of Armageddon. So the war is who's gonna control the earth. But if you know that the earth is the woman, whoever control the women control the earth, and that's a fact.